Hello everyone and happy STAMPtember. I'm Yana Smakula and I'm excited to join you for today's exclusive collaboration with Colorado Craft Company. The stamp set that we have today is called Work of Art and you can see it on the screen right now. This beautiful set is illustrated by Neenah and Neenah is one of my favorite illustrators. I love the style of her images. They are just a treat, a dream to work with. Here I have a mini MISTI stamping tool and a panel of Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. This is cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I will trim it down slightly a little bit later, but for now, I just want to work on this size paper. I'm stamping several images from this stamp set to create a little scene on my card. I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. This is alcohol marker friendly ink. I will be doing some Copic coloring. This is my preferred method, preferred way to work with these images. I love Anita's illustrations, and whenever I work with them, I just reach for my Copic markers and I do very simple, very loose coloring with Copics. You can definitely use other coloring mediums, but I feel like Copics or any other alcohol markers just work the best here. So I'm creating a little scene. I have a little taller critter and I have a smaller, like a baby critter holding a jar of paint. And I'm just adding a flower that my critter is painting. And I will just add a little sentiment off to the right to balance this design. So I have 4 elements on my card front, 2 critters, an image, and a little sentiment to the right. I did want to use a larger sentiment, that beautiful message on my card, but I did not have room on the front of my card. So you will later see me use it on the inside of the card. With the stamping done, it's time to do some coloring. Like I said, I always do very simple coloring, and whenever I color critters illustrated by Neenah, I always leave a little bit of a white space, a little bit of a white highlight, a white area. So I never fully saturate an image with my Copic markers. So here I'm starting with the lightest color. This is E51, and I'm coloring my critter already thinking about which areas are going to be white. So the belly is going to be white, a part of the tail is going to be white, a part of a head is going to be white as well. So I'm not even going over those areas with my markers. I'm just adding the color in several sections, in some sections, not all over the image. The next color I'm using is Y35. This adds a nice little yellow warmth to the coloring, to the fur. And then the final color for this critter is YR14. I actually have my favorite, my preferred colors when it comes to coloring critters by Neenah, and I just stick to the same colors every year or, every time I make a card. So if you remember my videos from last year, you might recognize that I'm using pretty much the same colors. And that's the reason why, because I have found that these colors work well. I'm happy how they look. I'm happy with the style of coloring. So I just keep coming back to the same colors over and over again. I use the exact same colors to color the little critter holding that adorable jar of paint. And now I'm going to move on to coloring the flower that my critters are trying to paint. I'm using YG01. This is my lightest green. YG03, my medium green, and YG17. I'm also using the same colors to paint or to color the jar with the paint that the critter is holding. And you can see that, again, I am not adding color everywhere. I'm not doing my typical coloring. There's no blending. I'm just adding color in spots, in sections, if you will. So no blending, just adding color to the paper. Next, I'm using pink to color the little flowers, and I use the RV10 and RV13 here. I also use the same colors to color the jar. While the pink looked great, I thought that yellow would make more sense here, so I used Y08, a lighter yellow, and Y35, a darker yellow, to color that large flower. I will later come back with a little bit of pink and the flower will turn slightly orange with touches of pink. I'm also using the same colors Y08 and Y35 to color another jar where the paintbrush is yellow and adding a yellow detail to the green jar. I'm also using E15 to color the paintbrush, the handle for the paintbrush, and finally adding a little bit of shading under my critters using W3 and a W1 marker to just help ground these images. I want to set a little scene, so I'm adding the ground with a gray marker, and now I'm using a light blue. This is B000, and I'm adding little dots to mimic the sky. So I just want to add color to the background, to the area behind my critters. So I'm using the lightest blue that I have in my stash, and I'm just dotting the color. This is one of my favorite techniques when it comes to Anita's illustrations and these stamps. I just like to come in and add little dots of color to hint the presence of another color on my card. With the coloring done, I used my paper trimmer and I trimmed this panel to 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. This way, I was able to foam mount it onto an A2 colored card base. This is Sea Glass by Simon Says stamp. I used foam adhesive squares and popped that panel up on my card base. I also cut another panel of white cardstock. This is the same size, again, Neenah Solar White, and I stamped that large sentiment, the sentiment that I wanted to use originally for the front of my card. I stamped it onto another panel, and I'm going to add that panel onto the inside of my card just because I want to have that message present. It's a beautiful message, it's a beautiful sentiment, and I feel like I really want to add it onto my card. So I'm just using double-sided tape to add this to the card, and this project is done. So here's a card I have for you today, created with the Colorado Craft Company exclusive collaboration stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. Love you guys, and happy STAMPtember.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.